Good morning. I'm Bill Pollock from the Learfield Lounge. If you are a hockey fan, I think you have a moral obligation this playoff season to attract at least one non-fan and turn them on to the game of hockey. And of course, Blues fans, we saw an exciting 7-game series against the Blackhawks. They finally survive after 3 years of first-round exits. The Blues survive. They move on to the second round. They'll now take on the Dallas Stars, and we'll get to that schedule in a moment. Listen, I don't have any other words to describe hockey. I've done this before. I've talked about it before. And you as a fan, you've said it too, that there's no better playoff system and no better run to a championship than in hockey. I mean, you can't describe the words, right? I mean, you have to see it. And if you had the opportunity to watch Game 7, especially the third period, then you were sitting on the edge of your seat. Every shift, every time the puck gets into the offensive end, you're thinking, is this going to be when the Blues score? When the Hawks get it down around the Blues net, you're thinking, is this where Chicago scores? Just back and forth action. Well, NBC Sports Network set a record for the most viewers in the first round. They averaged over 1.3 million viewers. In the third period alone, they had 2 million. And this is exactly what the NHL was shooting for when they changed their format. And I think this is the third year now of the format that features more division matchups in the first round. And I've talked to some friends and I've talked to some people who say they don't like this format. And basically, not to get into the nuts and bolts of this thing, but it used to be set up for the last few years where in the conference you took the top seed against the 8th seeded team, number 2 against number 7, so on and so forth, and you broke it down from there. The playoff format set up a little bit different now where you're guaranteed some division matchups in the first round. And I like it because, listen, I'm a longtime hockey fan. I remember going to games when I was 7 years old. And back then when you had the Norris division, if you go back that far, you had the Blues, the Blackhawks, the Detroit Red Wings, the Minnesota North Stars, and the Toronto Maple Leafs. And those 5 teams set up that division, and you played teams 8 times a year. And then in the first 2 rounds of the playoffs, you were going to play 2 of those teams to advance. So before you even got to the third round of the playoffs, you were facing teams for 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 times. I mean, there's the possibility that you could have played a team as many as 15 times during a season. And that's what built the rivalries. And that's what made this Blues and Blackhawks series so much fun and such a nail biter for me, is that I remember those days of these teams grinding it out and you battled all season. And then you turned around and you met them in the playoffs. So yeah, the NHL, this is perfect because I think fans look at teams in the first couple rounds of the playoffs as, boy, this is a thing that starts in April, it doesn't finish till June. They're not going to have a vested interest really in this as a sport until you get into the conference finals and the Stanley Cup finals. And then you're talking, late May and early June. And then you've got, the people complaining, well, the season's too long. But you've got to watch those early rounds. And that's what the NHL set out to do. And I think they hit a home run with this, and I think they were fortunate for the second time in 3 years to have the Blues and Blackhawks together in the first round. I love the format. I like it. It fires up those rivalries again and certainly makes things interesting. So now moving forward for the second round, it begins in Dallas Friday night, and then that's a 7 o'clock start. Sunday, it'll be a 2 p.m. puck drop, and then games 3 and 4, Tuesday and Thursday of next week, are in St. Louis, and they alternate every other day, so it keeps things moving along. And I think that this is another series that will go at least 6, probably 7. These teams evenly matched, and the Blues had the upper hand in the regular season. But when you're talking about division rivals, all of that goes out the window. So the Blues are going to have to start back over from square one, get this emotional victory, pass them, and prepare now for the Dallas Stars, who edged out the Blues in the Central Division. So here's your job. You've got to find a fan, find somebody that loves sports that has never followed hockey before, and get them into these playoff series and get them into this Blues Star series. So that's your assignment. Let me know if you find any friends too. Hit me up on Twitter @Missouri Sports. Thanks for watching.